So this is the part in which we get to share about the message. I know the beautiful thing about the Torah is that each and every one of us who would read it would find something different in it. There's so many interpretations, so many pictures that it gives us, and I just thought that it was interesting that twice this week, this whole idea of Jewishness comes up. God gave us a pattern to live by in our community. In the Jewish community, we have a certain pattern of meeting every Shabbat. It used to be in the Mishkan, and then it was in the temple, and then later on, after the temple was destroyed, and we were kicked out of Jerusalem. We continued to meet together in synagogues, and because the most important thing is for us to remain as a community, and in a community, the service itself has order, and God is showing us that we do need order in our lives. Otherwise, everybody would do just what they wanted whenever they wanted. And God always told us you need to meet together in one place. In paganism, you'll see they have their little altars all over. But God wanted us to be together and be focused on Him. That's why He gave us right from the very beginning of Genesis, He gave us the Moedim, the festivals. There are 7 of them. Each week we have the Shabbat, and then we have the ones in the fall, which we're in the midst of now, and the ones in the spring at the very beginning of our year. So He's constantly showing us that He has formed order out of chaos, that He gives us light out of darkness. And then there's a reason for everything that He gives to us, and that by allowing ourselves to do the things, and we really need to allow to make ourselves sometimes do these things because they're not natural in us. Our nature wants us to rebel. I don't want to do things the way people tell us to do it. I'm going to do it my way. We see this from the time we're 2 years old. I do it my way. But God has an order. And it's important that we keep His order because that's what gives us order in our own personal lives. It starts from each and every one of us. And He shows us how to let our light shine, as Yeshua says. Let your light shine so that men will see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. And that's what our walk through this world needs to be, a glorification of the God of Israel, not of any of the other gods. And He keeps showing us the whole book of the Torah is about what we need to do and how to do it. And the rest of the Tanakh, the rest of the Bible, is about what happens when we do, what happens when we don't. It really is very simple. The ideas are simple. They're just not easy to do because of our nature. So this portion, reading it, is not an easy one when you read Haazinu. And I had asked the Alvarados, I didn't get a message back because I know it takes Alejandro 3 weeks to prepare a message. He said, because we never have a message on the last portion, which is called Vizot HaBracha. We read it at the end of Shemini Atzeret, but we never really hear a message on it. Instead, we have a message on Kol HaMoed. So I'm hoping that 1 year we will be able to have someone who will do a message on Vizot HaTorah, HaBrachot, which are the blessings for our people. So does anybody have anything they'd like to say about the message? Yes, Holly.
Question. What is Haazinu?
Haazinu. I forgot. Haazinu. Give ear, I think. Give ear. Listen.
Okay.
The word for ear is, I forgot in Hebrew, but it has to do give ear, like really pay attention.
Okay. And where, like you keep referencing, read the words of Haazinu. Where is that?
every week I send out the bulletin, and on our calendar that we have, you can see on the calendar.
So is it the Haftarah? Is that another word for?
No, the Haftarah, it's the Torah portion.
Okay.
Like
So
each week-
Haazinu is a word you use for the Torah portion?
Yes, usually at the beginning of every portion, there's a word in Hebrew, and the rabbis have taken that word and entitled it. Like last week, it was Vayelech. And each week, we're going to begin with, in Genesis soon, Bereshit, in beginning. So each portion, these were all created by the rabbis.
So the title of the portion is called the Haazinu?
The title of this portion is called Haazinu. It's from Deuteronomy 32, 1 to 52.
Okay.
Okay, and then we read the Haftarah, which is usually taken from the prophets. There were times in our history, starting from Babylon when we were expelled from Israel, and all through the centuries, where nations arose and tried to destroy our Torah, would not allow us to read the Torah, and even killed those who were found with a Torah scroll. They would burn Torahs and the Torah scroll. And so our rabbis devised a way to remind us of what the Torah readings were by taking a reading out of the prophets that reminded them of the reading in the Torah. So we read not only the Torah portion, the Haftarah, which are the readings from the prophets that refer back and give us little extra teachings.
Thank you, Peggy, for that message. I love
Just hold on one second, Mary. Hialu, was there anything else?
No, not really. I just had that question. I do have notes, but I can wait until later.
Okay.
No, so I thought you were finished. Sorry, I was interrupting. Thank you, Peggy, for the message. Sometimes we want to embellish things that God has given us because maybe it seems too simple or whatever. And really, what He gave us is like all really complex things are really very simple. And thank you for that. And also when you say, we're called as a nation to be ambassadors of the Most High. Like, what an honor that is. Can you imagine being an ambassador of the Creator of the universe? I mean, how could you be arrogant with that? So when people talk about who is a Jew, the chosen people, it's like, who do you think you are? No, you have to. It just humbles you to think of what that is, and anyone who chooses to makes the Creator somebody who they want to follow and live their life by the Creator's ways that are for our benefit. It's an honor and it's awesome. Anyway, it's thank you for the message. It's sometimes.
But we have to remember also within, I mean, we see all the, it's not about being a Jew or a Gentile. It's about us coming together as one people to worship the only one God. Every other God is false. All religions, including Rabbinic Judaism, all religions add extra traditions, rules, regulations, and we just need to remember if a regulation or a rule or a tradition brings us closer to the one God, then it's a good one. It's okay, keep it. But if it takes us away from God, because He says in His word over and over, do not add and do not take away from my words, because really what we're doing then is we're taking His name in vain. We're putting words in His mouth. I remember how Rabbi always used to say, I hate when people put words in my mouth and they're telling me that I said things that I never said. Remember, he would say that over and over again. Well, we're doing that constantly when we say, and I remember when I first came to God, I came through Christians. They brought me under their wing and they taught me. And I loved those days. It really was a time that changed my life. But the more I learned, the more I started to see, well, wait a minute. They're believing in, they've made like a trinity, three gods. But they would never say there were three gods. They would say, well, it was three in one. And then I would say, okay, but there's so many more things in the Torah. You have the Shekhinah that the presence of God that dwelled in the Mishkan. You had the fire. He was in a burning bush. He appeared in so many ways to show us that he was real. Why only limited to three? When there's God can do anything. And I couldn't at the beginning, he explained the deity of Christ, the deity of Jesus, by saying that, I can't even remember now, but I said, but doesn't that make him another God? And so we have to be really careful when we're listening to doctrines of other religions, even the doctrines within the religion of Rabbinic Judaism. We tend to put the rabbis and the pastors up on pedestals. The imams, all these leaders, we put them on pedestals where the simplest of people were brought to Mount Sinai. We were slaves. We weren't rabbis. We weren't PhDs. We have forgotten that. We were simple people, and God spoke to us. He's not looking for heroes. He's the only hero. Whitney, I wonder if you have any questions about all these things that you've heard this morning. I'm sure for you, it's quite a...
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I do have one question. So you mentioned something about in the wilderness wanderings, those 40 years, how
Right.
that sets I forget how you worded it, but kind of like that's an example for the rest of time.
Yes, like a microcosm, like
And
formula. Yeah.
and I guess my question about that is just ideally, initially, that was only supposed to be a 2-week period of time. But because of disobedience, that turned into 40 years and a generation dying off. And then as they enter the promised land, the rules that guided them as a wandering people needed to shift because they were no longer going to be a people wandering, and God was going to have to give some new rules and further explanations for how to be a people dwelling in one place and what that looks like with God in the center. So one example of that, I think I must have some sort of sound, noise canceling.
I don't
really weird
hear
in
it
my head.
here. We don't hear
Yeah,
it
it just
here.
feels really
Yeah.
weird in my head, so it makes it
Okay.
hard to think. But in Numbers 7, there's a man, and I forget his name, but a Jewish man who only had daughters. He had 5 daughters.
Zelophehad.
Yes, Zelophehad. So as they're dividing the land, the women bring a case before the law to say okay, here's this old law that is supposed to bring goodness, but actually in this new situation, it actually is going to end up in injustice because my father's name will not be perpetuated and we will have no land just because we are women. And so they went to the Torah and said so if you look back in Genesis, it's men and women were set to tend the garden, and we have a right to be here, and the law needs adjusting so that it will bring justice instead of injustice. So I guess my question is just kind of I don't know, it sort of sounded like you're we take this and this is how we live, but it's I see already immediately upholding the heart of the law, but the laws are changing with circumstances changing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm just kind of curious. I don't know. Really.
Well,
Okay.
in my understanding of what you're saying,
Okay.
I'm sure other people have other ideas, but the only thing really that was written in stone by the finger of God were the 10 Commandments. That is our moral code. That is the foundation of our Constitution, of how we are to live. Everything else has to be adjusted for the society and the civilization within the place that we're going to be living. Those things are gray areas. The moral code are very clear. So within the different places we're going to be living, things can change. Like one of the things that at the very beginning of foundation, we see the male and the man and the woman in the Garden of Eden. Each of the creation became a little more sophisticated as we go down. The last thing to be created was the woman. She was the highest, the crown of glory of God's creation. She was given something extra, the ability to bring forth life, and a sense of an intuitive sense that helps her to have a direct relationship with God that man, who was created before her, didn't seem to have. This is what I've learned from my rabbi and other rabbis who've taught this. So the Torah shows us that women, because the example you gave was the Zelophehad and the 5 daughters, women, most civilizations throughout history have put women down, have put women under, made them equal to cattle, if not less. The Torah slowly was bringing women back to where God had made them. So that instance did not go against any of his commandments, but was a regulation that can be adjusted to what it was originally, who women were originally meant to be. Equal rights with men. So we have to look at the Torah. You have to stand back. The Torah is like a mosaic. If you take each little thing and you get caught up in it, sometimes it's hard to see the bigger picture. We have to stand back and take a look. Okay, what's the bigger picture here? What's almost the bottom line of what he's trying to say? Because otherwise things could get too confusing. The Torah is as a multitude of things. Even Hebrew itself is a language unlike the Western languages, which always need very small definitions. It says a picture paints 1,000 words, and the Hebrew is gives us pictures of things. So we have to look back. What picture is this painting for us? But always, wherever we are, we have to live within that moral code that he gave us. He formed us as a nation, handed us in stone the tablets, which were placed in the ark, went everywhere with us. That was our moral code, so that wherever we go, and we needed to write it on, we read them every week, so that we would know how to behave. And we were to bring that to the rest of the nations, so that everyone would have a moral code of how to live on this earth in harmony with one another. And if we did that, we would have a different world today.
Is that what you kind of meant by following, like looking at those 40 years and that time? Or I'm still a little confused about why
I
are
understand.
you signifying
Yes.
that time period?
Well,
why are you kind of signaling that,
for me,
setting that apart?
if you step back and you say, okay, God brought us out of Egypt, out of many gods. The time in Egypt was the time in the desert, the 40 years in the desert, was to start to retrain us to get the gods of Egypt out of us, and so that we could focus directly on the one God. Each of us in our lives have Egypt within us. We have all the things that we've been raised with. And the gods are very different today. The gods are not the way they were in ancient Egypt, or if you go to India and you see gods everywhere. Our gods are a little different. And this is my opinion. Other people may have other opinions. But our gods are systems that we live within. There are systems, the educational system, the medical system, they're gurus, the financial system. There are gurus of the world today who are all trying to tell us how to believe, how to live our lives. God was saying, don't let the gods of the world take control. Give me your life. Give your life to me. I don't want to control you. I've given you free will, and within my moral code, my 10 commandments, this is how I want you to live so that you will live well. You will choose life. You will be happy. Don't rely on systems that man creates. Rely on the system that God has created. God says, if you will follow my 10 commandments, you will live long and you will live well. The medical system says, no, if you follow my rules, if you eat my way, you're going to be healthy. Well, all I can see in that system is that it's making us sicker and sicker. So there are many systems that we have, and we have to learn how to discern and it's a slow process, very slow. I'm 75 years old. Let me tell you, I have a lot that I've had to learn how to change in my life from my parents, my grandparents, generational curses that were given. And slowly, the Egypt that was in me had to come out. And every time I'm looking at a false god, I have to come back. Like before we began, Elaine said to me, I was just sent a book by, I think it's Deepak Chopra, and it's all about meditation. Meditation is good, but what are you meditating on? The New Testament says, take every thought captive. To me, that means listen to your thoughts, meditate on what you're thinking. Think about, do I really believe that? Like someone once said to me, oh, I can't stop. I have to eat a whole bag of chips. Once I have a bag of chips in my hand, that's it. I have to eat the whole bag. Well, and I said to him, where do you get that from? Who are you giving control to? A bag of chips? Like, why do we constantly give control away to something or someone else when we have a whole, all these systems, the psychiatric systems, the psychological systems that tell you this is how you have to believe. And we have to question, what is God telling me about how I believe? So that to me are the Egypts. That to me is a time in the desert where when we followed and obeyed God, we prospered, we did well. When we followed and we grumbled against God, we complained against God, and we complained against Moses, and we did things our own way, we suffered the consequences. So we're constantly, every single day of our life is a choice. How am I going to live today? Who do I represent? I know I'm going to fail, but God is always there to help me start again. And I don't have to trust in anything but God. It's a process. Yes, Holly.
It's for me, like I have heard you speak for years, and I understand it in a different way than I did when I first knew you. But like the systems are there, and rather, I don't know, it's kind of like your scope of coming at things, like you can use the benefits of the medical system or the educational system, but coming through the scope of like depending on God.
Right.
For everything, rather than like trusting in those systems, even if you're
there's balance. Remember,
Yeah,
there's balance. Exactly. In everything, God wants order and balance. I'm not throwing out the medical system, but let's look at it.
Yes, but let's look at what these systems make, to us. First of all, if you take any system, the entire purpose is that to take you and to put under that system. So you cannot think about how to heal yourself if it's the health system, but you have to follow what the doctors dictate or they tell you to do, which at the same time they are following what the pharmaceutical companies are giving them. This is just an example about the health system. But let us go, because if we enter in that, we're gonna start, creating and between ourselves like a shock of understanding of, because each of us has an understanding different, and one has the Jewish understanding with a little bit of influence from Judaism. Then we have the Christian understanding also with the theology, Christian theology, understanding, and that is gonna create what has been created for thousands of years, which is division between humanity, between the creation of our Creator, okay, which is us, humankind, where when the Creator made us with a purpose was to be all united. Now, going back to the main purpose of the commandments, what the Creator gave us the commandments, and it's only about responsibility. Now, when you, Peggy, said in your message that we cannot save ourselves, that is not entirely truth, okay? And let me explain why. Once that you realize the importance of the message about and the 10 commandments, the instructions that they give us, and you understand as you're looking from the back of the things that happened in Egypt, where Israel were slaves, they did not have the choice. They were not able to think for themselves. They were not able to decide for themselves. Everything was given to them upon them because they didn't have yet developed and in their responsibility, and in the free will, because they didn't have free will, they were slaves. So now, to knowledge and to understand who truly we are as a human, as a creature of the Almighty, as sons of the Almighty Creator, okay? Now, and the Spirit, His spark that lives in all of us. Our God is not our God who lives far. Our God is our God who lives in us. We are in Him and He is in us. This is what Yeshua taught us, Jesus, Christian. Now, when we realize, when we are pulled out from one system, in this case, let's take it as the example of Egypt and the Israelites. They were pulled out of that system. Now, from now on, they needed to live their lives, okay? But they couldn't apply the same system that they had in Egypt. That is the reason why all these fights, if you look Exodus, you read Exodus in the Torah, you will find out how many complaints from the people, from not having water, from needed of meat to eat, and all that, complaining that we live better in Egypt because we have all these, fruits and all. So now that tells you that we still, when we are pulled from one system, we still are depending on the system. It requires a certain time for us to learn. And when we learn and we start practicing our own independence, we starting to learn about the Creator, about who we are, what is our relationship with our Creator, how we are growing in this experience, how we are becoming, aware, our awareness about the creation, about, the plans of our Creator. They become closer and closer, and to the point that we are in perfect harmony with Him. Yeshua was Him in harmony with the Creator. And the message, simple message that He came to give us back is because when the Creator sent Him, okay, with the mission of make us humans, humanity as a whole, every human as in an entire planet, to listen the message, simple message, which was resumed in to love our Creator and to love our kind. Okay, to love our kind, to love humanity. Why only
as we love ourselves? Yeah.
Let me tell you, because right now, if you see, all the religions are dividing us.
Right.
Okay. No religions because Arabs, like type of races. No. If that was the real fault, you will look at the Christianity. How many sects in Christianity we have? or how many groups? Evangelic,
How many in
Protestant,
Judaism?
how many in Judaism?
Yeah, same thing.
The Hasidic with the white socks, the Hasidic with the black socks, the Hasidic with the hat, different, the reformist, the ultra orthodox.
Just bottom line, Anja, so that I know
Okay,
that
well,
Mauricio would like to
sorry,
speak too.
it's long because I want you to grasp the essence of our Creator that gave us, which is to learn about Him. Okay, now the 10 Commandments are there to guide us, to keep us always reminded, because we have, we were unconditioned in a way that we have the tendency to forget. Okay, we were put in this way, and with time we forget things, and we need to keep reminding all the time. That is the reason why we have the Torah. We always, when we end up reading the scriptures, we go back and we start again, and because we cannot, any mind in the world, can memorize maybe a few pages of a book, maybe an entire book, but we don't have that ability.
That's why he keeps saying remember. That's why he repeats over and over again. Exactly.
Now, when you understand this, you will know, okay, the power, as we see in the New Testament, which is not New Testament, is new, the good news,
Messianic writings, yeah.
Yeah, the Messianic writings, but it's about the power of the Spirit, the power of the understanding when the meaning, okay, and knowledge, becomes part of you, to the point that you are, in what we call, you are close with the Creator, and you're walking with the Creator in this in this life.
Okay, thank you, Malchen. Mauricio, did you have something you want to add before?
Yeah, excellent message, Peggy.
Thank you.
I think there's so many things, but when I heard in this occasion the point where God he wants to dwell among us, right? And then you said in the message that God put the Levites to be intermediaries, okay? And then he's giving us the opportunity to the ones who are not Levites. Now you can be a priest, okay? Because it's not about it's not about race or blood, okay? So it came to my mind that the intermediaries really were the people who the ones that all the people of Israel at Mount Sinai, they were afraid for the presence of God. Okay, they were so amazed, and they didn't comprehend what happened in the mountain, right? So at that moment, they call Moses and they say, "Hey, okay, it's good to have a God, but we don't have to have a relationship directly with him." But his desire was, "Hey, I want to dwell among you. I want to have a personal relationship with one of you." So for me, when today we were reading this portion of the message, it was something like light up me very, very strange, because it came to my mind, okay, God, what really wants is not to have a lot of priests and have a lot of Levites, okay? He wants just to have a relationship with us, okay? Take that every one of us take the position of the Levites, and not not necessary to have an intermediary between God and us. No, we could have a relationship directly with Him. We can talk with Him directly. So we need to assume this responsibility, okay, in order to answer the question you made at the end, okay? Who do you represent? Who do I represent? Okay. Obviously, we are the ones who could have access to God, and everyone in the world could have this access to that.
Exactly.
So, but people starts to create paradigms around their mind.
Yeah, paradigms.
Yeah, and what they are doing is, hey, we don't want to have a relationship directly with God. We need these intermediaries, but they are not necessary. For that reason, God said, okay, all of you will be a people of priests. Okay.
You know,
So-
I have to say something about this, because the truth is this: not everybody, okay, it has grow with this mentality of being free. So there is a lot of people that they are just followers, and they just follow whatever they tell me to do. And I'm saying that to be nice, okay? I'm not one to tell them, oh no, but you know, they don't have, they're brainless, or they are, you know, no, it's just that they are, you know, they have not yet developed in themselves, or they have not yet grown. It's like a child, you know, it's still growing. When it just is, it's, you know, a toddler, you're not going to tell him to sprint 100 meters. He doesn't, he's just starting to. So this is how we have to see each other, okay, as a humans. We are in different levels of spiritual growth, okay? Now, there are some of us that we are higher. I'm not considering myself higher. I'm just learning like anybody else. But there are other ones that they are not, you know, that you just follow. So when we see all these people that we are dependable on these systems, okay, where they tell you what to do, it's what it's actually doing. It's taking away from us this ability to grow, to experience, you know, to get out of a box that society has created. And when I say society, I include religion, because religion is part of that theology and all this, you know, trying to explain God from, you know, you find in Christianity, you find also, you know, the extra works of rabbis in Judaism, and that they create more and more circles around, or protection, you know, like fences around the structure of the commandments, and they keep building and building. Oh, in case you know, we're gonna stop doing this, okay? Because in case we could break this commandment, you know, and we don't want to do that. We don't want God to get angry of us. But then they become less and less with freedom. You know, they become very, very you know, tied. You know, so it is important to know that it's up. How can it is a process of growth.
But
growth.
it's like the Torah says, all of us like sheep. We are all like sheep.
No, but
Yes,
you
but
know, the point. Yeah.
But wait, but now the reason why the Creator set up these chosen people, okay? Remember what Abraham was. Remember what Moshe was, okay? He sold his Abraham. Yeah, Abraham gave his wife, you know, because he didn't want to get killed. Or
Right.
Moshe kill the one who was you know, he killed somebody, you know. So what I'm saying is that despite our limitations as human beings, there's a process of growth, okay, and we won't be able to experience that if we don't get out of those systems that keep us always.
Yes. Well, we live in the world. We're just not of it. Hold on, Angel. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yes, Whitney.
I just was I've been thinking this whole time we're talking about systems. When I look back at like the Torah, it seems like what I see in the Torah is like let's look at Adam and Eve or Moses, or like all the times that we're given a choice. And when the choice is made to not trust or to not follow in complete obedience, it's like we think we know better. It's like, oh, this looks good. This looks like a good fruit. Yeah, I want to be wise. This seems good to me. I know better than God. So I think more than systems, not to say that there isn't all this stuff that we've been talking about systems, it's in ourselves and it's in our hearts and it's in our minds when we think we know better. I feel like that's more at the heart, even deeper than just the systems.
Well, because that's what creates the systems.
Yeah, I
but
just
then-
want.
Yes, hold on, Angel. Mauricio was speaking
Yeah,
before. Hold on,
I-
let him finish.
I just want to what you're saying, Angel, and everybody, is that we have to learn to live without fear,
Right.
because all this seed is fear. People fears to be free. People fears to not follow the rulers, and the rulers don't have fear that people get freedom to think, to act, okay? And that is what the Torah is teaching us. And we learn this, and this is the first commandment. I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. So that means we are free now. But many people doesn't believe that, doesn't have enough emunah and bitachon to follow these commandments.
Yeah, she
That is
doesn't she doesn't know what emunah is. Faith. God has given each and every one of us faith. Everyone has that. It's a gift so that no one can boast. But
it is true what is what is
hold on. Angel, sorry. What happens with fear? Fear stops us from going to the next step, taking the step of faith to turn it into trust. If we are afraid, we don't make those steps. Like they were afraid to step into the water. And God said, step into the water. That's when you learn how to trust, because you see you've stepped into the water and then God shows up and does
exactly
his part.
that is the leading thing, that it has to come from us.
Yes.
We disconnect completely from the system, and another thing is that these systems, they have been using fear as for us. Oh, you cannot do that because God
Exactly.
says.
Fear divides. Yeah.
And if you deal to experience, and remember that the Creator, okay, gave us the free will. So why will the Creator give us the free will and then suddenly change his mind and say, oh, but if you ever think about it, that you are capable to do anything for yourself, then, so what is, and especially when in the Torah says that we were created like God, like, like we are image of our
He gave us his characteristics. He gave us his characteristics.
I don't want to undermine the Creator, as I have a very elevate, very reverend, whatever you say in English about him. He's the supreme Creator. For me, it's the most that I can say that I love. It's part of me. Try to learn from him, but we need to step out. We need to remember also that what is that verse, Yeshua? What is it? It's a spirit. When we worship in spirit and free. No, and how is? Can you help me with that?
In spirit and in truth.
In truth.
Yeah, in the spirit, we have to worship the Creator in the spirit and truth, right? Which means, in the spirit, in truth means that what are you doing? You know that whatever you're doing, it's a fact that you already experience as a true fact. Nobody, if somebody tells you, oh, but this is black, no, it's black, no, it's white is white, it's not gray, it's white. So
with free will comes responsibility, comes the ability to make the right choices. When he says choose life, it's because he's given us the ability to do it. If we give the choice over to other things, then we're losing the gift that he gave us.
who is that in Christianity? I think it was Apostle Paul in one of his letters, or he says something about one of his writings says something about that he's writing to, I don't know if it was his son or that you are now, you are ready to eat meat. You are not anymore child like before.
Exactly. Stop drinking milk. Start growing up and eat some meat.
So
Yeah.
there is a process. You understand? So it's about
Yes.
us to breaking
Yeah.
with the control
Yeah.
and let the free the free will that God. And even though, look at this, I will tell you that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say, okay, well, I'm gonna try this. I know that the pastor says this, but I want to understand. I don't want to follow rules because I am a horse that I cannot look anywhere, but just gonna in order to lead us,
With blinders on.
because we are missing the world. This is how we grow. I'm not saying that you're gonna jump and you're gonna do a lot of sinful things, and no, but you're gonna, as the Torah tells us, that we need to look, and we need to learn, we need to see and understand, we need to getting more close, not to follow what somebody says or that he said that. No, we need to understand why that is when truly grow.
Yeah. You see, Whitney, the Ten Commandments, when somebody asked Yeshua, how do you sum up the Ten Commandments? Basically, what he said was, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your resources, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So the first three commandments are called in Hebrew mitzvot. Those are called commandments, and they have to do with our relationship with Him, a direct relationship with the Creator, with the divine. The second two, the two middle commandments, which are the Sabbath, keep the Sabbath day, honor it, and the fifth is honoring our parents. Those are called chukim. Those are commandments which do not really have they're a little bit mystical. We don't really understand exactly why, but we do it because he said to do it. And he said that the two of them will give us life, so that your days may be many. Honor your parents. It has to do with ourselves, loving ourselves, taking care of ourselves. The last five, which are do not murder, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not bear false witness against your neighbor, don't gossip, and the last one, do not be jealous, have to do with our neighbor. So it's a three-way street. We love God with all our heart, soul, and everything else about us. Then the next step is to learn how to honor, take care of this self in relationship to his commandments, how to love ourselves, and then we can love our neighbor. This is the bottom line of what God wants from us. Everything else is commentary, is up to discussion. That's why we have judges. That's why we have, that's why he gave us a brain to think. How do we live those things? And that's when we have conversations with each other. We help each other in our lives. That's why he created community. It's a beautiful picture. The Torah gives us that beautiful picture. But if you take what Angel was saying, what religions tend to do is to divide humanity up. Little groups, little sects. God wants us to be unified as a human race, one people, under one God, period. This is the bottom line. But our life, from the moment that we're born to the day that we go and be with him, is all about how we are going to live it and who we represent on this earth. And for each of us, it's going to look differently. But we help each other to grow and all that. Mauricio, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, it's just related with Holly's question, and it's about Haazinu. Haazinu really means to hear. But to give that example, I don't know if you remember Alice in Wonderland, this movie, okay? It's a classic, okay? I think. So remember that sometimes when there is a cat, I guess, it starts to sing a song, Alice, and she's putting attention. She's hearing. That is Haazinu. She's telling a story, and in this portion is a song of Moses. Okay, because in the last parasha, in the last portion we read, starts to say, okay, Moses, I need that you write a song, that you have to learn to all those who did not have the experience to in this desert. So Moses starts to write, and then he starts to sing, and he starts to sing, saying Haazinu. And the word is ozen. Ozen is
Ozen is
is ear. So it comes from Haazinu. Listen, but listen carefully, and imagine like telling a story to a kid, but singing. Okay,
right.
And this story is about, has different steps, but making a resume is about, okay, God is the one who saved you. Then you will prosper. Then you will lose yourself. Okay, get away from the ways of God, and then you return back because God still loves you. So this is a song, okay,
and that's the pattern that we live over and over and over in our lives.
This is a cycle.
Yes.
And it's a cycle for all humanity. I mean, it's not only Israel, but Israel are the only ones in the world, honestly, that they could recognize, okay, we mess up, Lord, forgive us. We want to return to you. And then God gives the opportunity. That's why these people has more than 40,000 years old. Okay.
Yeah, and in the end it says 10 Gentiles will cling to the tzitzit, the cloak of one Jew. Show me your God, because we were the ones he introduced himself to. We are the ones he formed. It doesn't make us better. It just makes us servants to go to the rest. So, but we have to understand our role. And I have many friends who have lost their role, lost their way, and they don't know why they're suffering in life. It's because they've lost their first love. Our first love is our Creator.
You know, a clear example is Yeshua. How many of the Gentiles around the world has clung to his commandments and his teachings, right? And
Yes.
but I have to say that, you know, if you remember the prodigal son parable, okay,
Yes.
what does it make Jews or Gentiles? What is the common denominator in these stories? Okay, from the perspective, Jewish perspective of, you know, as Mauricio was saying, the Jews, you know, they prospered and then they fall again and then they come back to God. There is one common thing, that is love for the Creator. The prodigal son didn't come back because of how can I say, because of wealth or because of whatever. No, he came back because he loved to be with his father, to in the presence in him. Because in him, he was a happy man. He was a happy, son. He had everything, not only material, because we have the tendency to focus only on the material thing, but we don't focus in the spiritual thing, which is he had love, he has care. Somebody was caring about him. He had affection. He had fulfillment as an individual, because we live in a world.
Angel, no, he came back because he had lost everything. And he realized that the only thing that had any value was what he had had before. He wasn't fulfilled. He was depleted. He had lost it all. That's when I came to God. It's because I had lost everything. I had nowhere else to go. And
I'm not speaking about the material fulfill. I'm speaking about the love that he had.
I
that
don't
part
see
You guys
that.
are saying the same thing, aren't you?
that he put aside
Maybe
in order to
a different
to
perspective.
earn, you know, it's always we need to look within us, and we will find the secrets, everything. So,
Yeah. By the way, Mauricio, you want to repeat to Holly what you said about Haazinu because she had gone away.
Okay, it's just that Haazinu means to hear, okay, and this is a song, okay, it's a song from Moses to Israel, because in Lech Lechi, in the portion that we read last week, he the Creator told to Moses, "Hey Moses, you need to write a song for those who were not in the desert with us, okay, so they can remember." And he wrote a song, okay, and this song starts with this chapter, okay, Haazinu. So this is like a Disney song, okay, that they are telling a story about something. Hey, look, I want to sing this song, but listen carefully. It says someone to another, so he starts to sing. Okay, so that's his Haazinu.
Yeah,
Okay,
Ozen,
pay attention.
Ozen is ears.
Yeah, Ozen is ears. So in the
Ear.
cycle is about, okay, listen, because you need to understand what will happen in the future. Okay, so first you're gonna you get out from Egypt. God shows his power. He shows everything that he's able to do. Then you will prosper, you will enter, you will be you will gain muscles. Okay, then you will trust in yourself, okay, and forget God. And then you will be destroyed because you abandon God. Okay, it's not about a punishment, because it's not about punishment. It's just that we decide to get out from his shadow. Okay, it's like you
And he
know.
hides his face from us. It's like
Yeah,
being under eagle's wings, and then suddenly you're,
yeah, I decide
yeah.
to get out from God, and then the sun starts to burn me. Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Okay, and then he says, okay, then you will return him back, because you will recognize what you did, and then I will show you mercy. Okay, and then I will protect you, and I will be your God. That is in resume what this song is about.
A resume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the point is, this song repeats in whole history, in our lives, constantly repeats, because uh I don't know why humans, when we trend to when we are satisfied, and we feel we are better than anyone, then suddenly God says, hey, it's because of me. Okay, put your steps on the soil. Okay, and and it's a process that is normal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
a cycle.
circle.
It's
It's
a
a
cycle in
cycle.
our lives. It's like we'll be feeling really good about something that we've done, and then suddenly we do something that is just so stupid, or say something, and then you just feel, oh my God, how can I go back to that again? It's like a dog returning to his own vomit. And then something else will happen. Okay, you've been humbled. Okay, now God will show you he's with you again. This is a daily cycle. It's like,
Yeah, and
it's
it's
our
the
life.
cycle of life.
Yeah.
Even you can see in the whole creation. Okay, everyone born comes to life. Okay, and then you grow, and you get to a certain age that you are strength enough. You have all your capacities. You can see in a galaxy, in an animal, whatever, and then you start to going down. Okay, and this is a process. Then you die, and then you're reborn again. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like this is a cycle. It's the cycle of life.
But but the most important thing also is that one of the things the religions do is make us very individualistic. And one of the things that the Torah is doing and what God wants us to do is understand that we are a community. We grow as we serve others. We grow as we give to others, as we help others in different ways. We are not alone on this earth. We are here to be. When I talked about the Levites being or the high priest, a friend of mine said that her father was a Kohen. A Kohen is who is descended from supposedly Aaron's generation, Aaron's to be a priest. And he says, I never felt I was deserving of that. Well, we aren't. And people tend to put the Kohen up on a pedestal as they do their pastors and their leaders, the imams, on pedestals. And the leaders are not to be on a pedestal. The leaders are to be the servant of the rest. They are they need to be like Moses, the most humble. As we grow with God, we become more and more humbled. The whole idea of Yom Kippur is about humbling ourselves, going before God, not to go, oh, look how proud I am. I fasted today. I'm great. I've given more money. I've done this. No, it's to be, to learn. We can't humble ourselves. God is the one who humbles us.
Yeah, and in this chapter, verse 39, it says, see now that it is, I am the one, and there is no God like me, even us. Okay, sometimes we're trying to believe we are gods. Okay,
Right.
And if he says, cause death and grant life,
I cause death and I give
and
life.
yeah, I strike, but I heal, and no one can rescue from my hand. So that is giving to you the idea, okay, sometimes we say, oh, I need to be humble. Okay, wait, because when you ask this, God will show you how to be humble. Okay, and this is how sometimes it's okay.
Exactly. It's usually you're hit from behind. Your knees just buckle under you because let me tell you, he wants us to be humble. Yes,
I
Holly.
heard a definition for humility once, and it was having the right opinion of yourself. So it's not thinking lowly of yourself necessarily, but I think it's like understanding our position with God and having the right opinion of oneself and not too elevated.
Exactly. And that Miriam would always say to me, sometimes I would be feeling really bad about something, like I should have done it this way or should have done it that way. And Miriam would say to me, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And that works both ways. You're
does.
not great, you're not too great, and you're not too bad. Miriam is the one who says that she's the worst person in the world. But but there are no worst than others. We just all fail.
Yeah. I have a friend that is just really on this whole way of thinking right now where she'll always say like, I'm nothing. It was her birthday the other day and she's like, it doesn't matter. I'm nothing.
Wow.
And I was like, well, you still matter. Like you're still here for a reason. And you know, this life still matters. We're not just nothing.
Exactly.
God.
Go ahead, Miriam.
Okay. Everything is balance. Even, God created us, made us, beautifully and wonderfully made. But the thing is not in who we really are. We're beautiful creatures before God. We've become, we've become disobedient and we've done a lot of things wrong. I think these things are wrong, but as you say, it's a balance. Everything's a balance. Even like what you said, Peggy, about the community. Yes, I agree. God has created us to be part of a community, but you see that when you're imbalanced, you lose yourself in the collective. Like, remember like groups like the Moonies, etc., where there was no individuality. And the thing that's important is that we are strongly individual, but in the right way. when we go to God, we can go with our problems. We can go. He has given us an ego for a reason, but again, it's balance. So
Well, he wants unity, not uniformity.
no, of course, but I'm just saying that, there's a danger, like certain of the Asian religions, the Buddhism, all that, whatever, you lose yourself and, into the collective and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, like
God
if we
doesn't
go,
want
like when we go down to Outremer, we go among the Hasidim, the ultra Orthodox, and you see there they wear a uniform. They have to be very, and if you step out of that, you're in trouble.
So there's a balance between individualism and being part of a community.
Exactly. What did you say, Brian?
You have a beer and payas on the sides.
Who does?
The Orthodox.
Exactly.
I see them.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
sometimes
it's interesting that this idea of serving keeps coming up, because this is something that I'm hearing, when you start learning something, you start seeing it and hearing it everywhere. And we have a friend that lives here, and he talks a lot about your purpose, like knowing your purpose and serving out of that, like serving people just in really small ways, because if you know your purpose, then you can encourage them in whatever it is that you see in them or whatever. I'm not explaining it right, but and then Peggy, it's interesting that you said the word depleted, because I have realized in the last week and finally admitted to myself, I am so depleted, and I have been for years, and I can't serve if I'm depleted. So there's balance there too, like we're not supposed to just serve and not take care of ourselves, but we're also not supposed to do the other extreme and do all of this self-care just for our own selfish ambition. There's balance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Balance in everything.
I remember Rabbi, when he told us about his father, used to tell him that the best way to learn is about learning about the mistakes of others. And the experience that Rabbi had once, when he talked about, it was like a balloon that he got so big that suddenly explode, and he fell himself to the lowest of the lowest on the ground, and start again. So if we look at that our lives as a imagine that we are like a balloon. If we grow too much, we're gonna have either blowing away and we're gonna have to start from the beginning. But if we start to part of one of the things that is important is to self-analyze ourselves. I know all of us, we are able to do that, to see our own mistakes, to see where we are. It's very difficult. And when you have your wife or you have someone, friend who looks at you and tells you, well, I think you're getting too big right now. You need to calm down. That is a way to put us back in where we have. So you have to release a little bit of air in that balloon, and I think that the importance is about knowledge. It's knowing yourself, like in this case, in this example, the properties of this balloon, which is the limit, that you can blow at a certain level, and that you can stay there, but don't risk to explode and make a big mess or damage other people or hurt other people or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's true that sometimes we feel that this balloon, loses air, or suddenly lose completely air, and you start, you need to start, from the beginning again.
It's a good picture, the balloon, because it usually floats up high above everyone else and thinks it's higher than everyone else. So it's a good picture. So tomorrow evening we begin the holiday of Sukkot. I love the picture at the end of Zechariah that all the nations will come and will bring an offering. We'll send ambassadors to Jerusalem to celebrate this festival after the great battle that's going to take place in this world. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know if we'll live to see it. But Sukkot is that the one festival that they say will remain. And so I wish we could all be in Israel on Sukkot celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles. But it's a beautiful, it has beautiful message in it. I don't know if we're going to have a service online for Sukkot. Just judging from, the high holidays attendance, I'm not sure whether we'll do it or not. I'll have to see. I think what we'll do is, try to get together with friends, celebrate together, eat together. Here, there's a custom where we take a lulav. If you'll give me a minute, I'll get it and I'll show you.
Does anybody have plans for Sukkot? Mauricio, do you guys build a sukkah?
Not really. We're not build a sukkah. We will try to do a sukkah. I hope so, but I need to
Then make
buy.
You didn't make a sukkah in the backyard?
No.
We let our kids build forts in the house during Sukkot because it's usually cold here.
That's so cute.
So I picked up this is what we pick up at the Jewish store. It consists of, this is the date palm, and then there's a hadassah, and then there's a willow. A myrtle. A myrtle and the willow tree. And then there's what they call an etrog, which is a type of lemon. It's a little bigger than a lemon, and it's sweeter. And we take all four and we shake it in all the directions, and it represents the four types of people on this earth. The willow tree has no taste and no smell. There's the dates. The date has the leaves of the date have a smell, but no, a taste and no smell. And then there's the etrog has a smell and a taste, and the myrtle has a smell but no taste. So you have four different types, and it represents the four types of people. One that has a lot of faith but does nothing with it. One that has a lot of actions, a lot of good deeds, but it doesn't come from their hearts or do it for the wrong reasons. One who does nothing, has no faith, and does nothing to show in their life. And the fourth kind of person who has a lot of faith, has a great relationship with their Heavenly Father, and does good deeds out of that faith. So it represents all four people on this planet. And that we go into a temporary booth, a temporary hut, where we could see the sky, understanding that God is always looking down at us, and not down at us, but He's always watching over us, and that we are temporary dwellings in this body. It's a temporary dwelling, and we give thanks for His abundance, for His everything that He's given to us. It's a time of great rejoicing. So whatever you do over the holidays, it starts, the holiday is Monday, during the day from Sunday night to Monday, and then we end on the last date will be the Shemini Atzeret, which is the added eighth day. The added eighth day, Sukkot is 7 days, but God has added an extra day. And we believe that's when Yeshua was circumcised on that day, Shemini Atzeret. And He came to be one of our people. He became a Jew. In order to be a Jew, you need to be an Israelite. You need to be circumcised. So, there's so many teachings about Sukkot. You can find them anywhere. But I want to wish you all a Hag Sameach, a happy holiday. And enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. If there's any questions, anything else, yes, Brian.
I've seen people who had a Jewish mother and didn't get circumcised. And there was in this house a small man named George, and he died. And they said he was Jewish because of his mother, but his father wasn't Jewish, and he didn't fix him. So he died uncircumcised.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what his heart was like. That was the most important thing.
Too
So,
much drinking.
Whitney, we welcome you. If you ever want to join into any of our sessions, you're very, very welcome. We have after the holidays, we have in English every Wednesday evening from 8 to 9. We read the portion together and we talk about it. On Tuesday evenings, I don't know when you're beginning again, Mauricio does them in Spanish. And then we celebrate our holidays together. And so you're very, very welcome to be part of our community. Etid, nice to see you. Thank you for your help. Etid has been helping me translate into French, and I'm really very, very grateful. Mauricio helps to translate into the Spanish. I use Google and I send it to them, and then they send it back to me in the right language. So, Angel, thank you as always for your input. Aliverados, welcome back home from Israel. You were there for 2 weeks, and Mina, good to see that you're with us.
Hi, Mina.
Etid, what is your son's name?
Michael.
Michael, comment ça va, Michael? Viens dire bonjour. Michael, quel âge as-tu? 8 ans. Oh, he's an 8-year-old boy, big boy, grand garçon. Michael, tu parles anglais? Non, pas encore. Tu vas apprendre? J'espère que oui. Oui, hein? I asked him if he spoke English. He said not yet, but he's going to learn. And soon we're all going to have to learn Chinese anyway, so no problem. So everybody have a wonderful day. It was good to see you all. God bless you. Have a rest of your Shabbat. Welcome home, Alvarados.
Welcome.
Shalom.
I want to see a bunch of pictures. Send us pictures.
Yes, we
Mauricio?
travel with you all.
Yeah, we were with you.
Mauricio, I heard you have birds in the background. Can I quickly see them?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Show
They
you.
sound cute. I
We
want to see what they
have-
look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. I
He
gotta
lives in
show
El
you.
Salvador.
Okay.
Ah,
Besides the birds in the cage, there's parrots outside the cage in the
He
woods.
he had
Okay.
he had opossums
Okay,
in his
great.
roof.
oh my goodness. Sounds amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
You get one.
Oh my God, so good.
Okay.
Really?
I don't know. There's
Oh, there we
the
go.
man. Yeah.
Aw.
I don't see. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mira lo que tiene, Adrián.
So cute.
What are their names?
Qué grande las aguas.
Wow.
Jiko, Yika, Kiko, Kika.
Wow.
What are their names?
Jiko, Jika, Kiko, and Kika.
Kiko and
How
Kika.
many?
Kika.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
that's
Cute.
the name of my kids gave them. So,
Okay.
Is there 4 of them? Cap?
yeah,
How
4.
many?
Yeah, they are 4.
4.
Wow.
How are
Yeah.
your birds doing, Yanette?
La periquera.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Puis là, j'ai pensé, wow.
Yeah, Yanette's daughter has two birds that had a baby hatch in their house.
That's amazing. That's hard to do.
That's almost impossible.
Yeah.
That's she has such a touch with animals. It's incredible.
What's a matter of trust? Did the birds sense that they were safe?
Yeah, they sense that they're safe. Exactly. You're not in the room where you could show them, I guess, eh? No. All right. So we say goodbye until we meet again. Hasta la vista, lehitraot.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista.
Oh, shalom, bye.
Shalom, shalom.
Bye.